Greetings, my fans. Now, as you are all aware, the end of YouTube is upon us. So I decided that since I had to cancel the New Year's live stream, I'm gonna go all Bon Jovi and go out in a blaze of glory. Now, of course, with this in mind, I decided that I'm gonna do something that was planned for the live stream. I'm going to review every one of the epic rap battles of history made throughout this year. Now, for all of you who don't know, Epic Rap Battles of History is a YouTube channel that does rap battles. It's not exactly a complicated premise, but it is a very successful channel. They have, I believe they are starting their 9th season next year. They have a lot of views. I think millions, I believe. Yeah, their costume designer actually just won a Streamy for best costumes. And while going away for a few years, they ended on a good note before they left with probably one of my favorites, Winston Churchill versus Theodore Roosevelt. Yeah, and they finally came back. And this season, it's probably one of their best. Actually, I might even say it is their best. Except it's not exactly their best, but still, it is awesome. So with that in mind, let's get into this, this review video. Starting with Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg. Dang it. Now let's look at the costume here. Lloyd actually looks quite a lot like Elon Musk. Can I say the jacket's pretty good? The wig, not bad. And ultimately, I can't really see any obvious differences. And okay, so we got Zuckerberg at the court trial. Even with his goblin-like eyes. That pun with flamethrower. Bad line. Wow, 2 sci-fi references and with it, quite fast, and a James Bond reference. Now let me just say this: Lieutenant Data is from Star Trek. He is a android, I believe. So of course he acts robotic, and they're saying that he's less robotic than Zuckerberg. And then saying that he's Tony Stark with a James Bond sprinkle tossed in. Well, he's a tech giant like Tony Stark. But I don't understand saying with a James Bond sprinkle tossed in. I don't actually understand that line, but I mean, hey, still pretty good. Now let's see what Zuckerberg has got. Okay, now I'm just going to explain that line first, real quick. He said Data is was a lieutenant commander to start, but you wouldn't expect him to understand Archer. That's not what I'm explaining. But basically, he's correcting what Musk just said, calling him Lieutenant Data. He is a lieutenant commander, and then he says that he wouldn't understand how the positions work, which I think makes sense given the fact that he isn't actually the leader of his companies, I believe, but yeah, let's see how Zuckerberg works with. Oh. Okay, first off, he actually pulled out an org chart, which, unless you were like me and had seen this battle before, pretty unexpected. And then there's a costume change to what he normally wears. Okay. Now. Okay, sorry, my phone only has a 15-second skip. Spitting fire is a common rap term meaning that he is, rapping quite well. Okay, we got some pretty good jokes here. Let me just explain them. Now, that we of course got a reference about how Facebook has bought out many of the most popular apps used and is killing Snapchat. A Tide Pod joke, which Tide Pods themselves have become quite a meme at this point. Yeah, and we even have a reference about how Zuckerberg is known for not blinking. Kinda like me. Or another popular YouTuber named Lasercorn. Yeah, or quite a lot of popular YouTubers. Either way, Zuckerberg is quite well known as never blinking.
Oh, you're nothing but an attention-seeking outcast, and your star is faded like you on a podcast.
Okay, for all of you who didn't get that reference, one time when on a podcast, Elon Musk was offered weed, and he accepted. It was funny. And then they started talking about hypersonic jets, and solving the world's energy crisis. It was funny.
With Joe Rogan, don't slow motion my pace, man. When I'm conquering my space, it's actual space, man.
Okay, so we have him negating the last line used against him, and then joked about how Zuckerberg is is taking over a company. He's taking over social media companies. Well, he's taking over. Yes, is taking to the skies, and we even see him flying with apparently rocket boots. Okay, let's break this down. Asking who put the elf with no friends in charge of human connection. Now that's funny, because he's the kind of guy who wouldn't exactly have many friends, but he made something that has people connecting. Selling people out for some net worth. That's because, well, Facebook is, notorious for selling users' private information for money. Well, then again, what else are they going to sell it for? And saying that his site's got so many Russian bots they should call it the social network. Net is Russian for no, but it sounds like net, so it works. Pun intended. Now let's see how Zuckerberg is going to respond to this.
I know AI gets you tweeting. I read your feed while eating toast from robot organ free. Start sleeping. We can all see you're tired. You're about to be CEO. Oh shit, he got fired. You got all these companies, but they're incomplete. I've got one and I owe money. Incomplete. Set yourself
Okay, that was actually a pretty good way to end it. Now, reference to how Zuckerberg's making a ton of money even though he only has one company, while Musk has a lot of companies. Yeah, even though he's most famous for Tesla and SpaceX. Yeah, joke about him being CEO. Yeah, he got fired. That's a pretty good play on words. Yeah, but I don't really see, Elon getting fired. Yeah, and, what was that? Yeah, it's saying to take his self-driving truck to haul himself home. Well, the self-driving truck, Tesla has a lot of self-driving things. Because this battle's like PayPal, you got owned. I don't exactly get that reference. Maybe it's just something I don't understand, but either way, yeah, this was a pretty good battle. Decent way to start off the series. Now, who won? Now, even though I don't really like him, I'm going to have to say Zuckerberg won this. Now, real life, Musk wins every time. But Zuckerberg, he was just better this time. Now, with that in mind, yeah, let's move on to the first official battle of the season. Freddy Krueger versus Wolverine. Now, interesting story about this one. Lloyd actually demanded that he should be playing Wolverine. And he demanded that they put a lot more work into the costume than what they were planning, because, he thought that they should go with the Hugh Jackman Wolverine. He thought that they should go with the Wolverine that he looked up to as a kid. Pun intended. Now, which was, of course, the animated one and the comic book one. Yeah, so they put a lot more work into this than expected. So with that in mind, let's check this out. Okay, eerie music. Okay, going for the costumes of the animated comic book one. Just Nightmare on Elm Street there. I mean, pretty solid costume. Yeah, my sweater, the fedora, that's a fedora, and of course the glove. They're in the boiler room, and oh yeah, they actually did a rubber mask to mimic the skin of Freddy. And this is actually a special guest, a YouTube rapper by the name of Wax, actually inspired every rap out of history. He's actually reoccurring, as he showed up as Quentin Tarantino in the director's battle. Now, that's of course, he just referenced the, song that the girls were, singing with the jump rope. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, better lock your door. But then, it came out of nowhere, and, referenced that one-liner that he said when he was killing that one girl by slamming her into the TV that he became.
Better stay awake like a meth head. Spread red on your bedspread till you're lying there in your deathbed. You got a healing factor. Kill bitches on the ceiling factor. Under that mask, you're a singer/actor. Under my skin, I'm a slasher. Bitch, I come from West Craven's twisted mind. You come from comic books the kids get when they're well behaved at Christmas time.
Okay, so we're getting, some pretty good, lyrics here. Yeah, so we're referencing how he kills people in their sleep. Yeah, and then I think that's a reference to the first Nightmare on Elm Street, where he pulled a kid into his bed, and then a geyser of blood came out. Probably gonna get demonetized for mentioning that. And then referencing how Wolverine has a healing factor, but Freddy has the factor that he kills people, on the ceiling, which I'm pretty sure is referencing Wes Craven's New Nightmare. But either way. And then referencing that, he's a horror legend, while Wolverine is a character from comic books that kids get at Christmas. But only when they're well behaved. Okay, now let's see how he finishes up this. Okay, pretty solid. Yeah, rhymes there. Now, yeah, saying that his hair looks like, it looks like, is stolen from a flock of seagulls. Okay. I mean, maybe on his costume, but... And then saying that it wasn't even his main disc, it was just a sideburn. Oh, Wolverine well, yeah, Hugh Jackman has some, had some, pretty good sideburns. Yeah, so I guess that could be what it's referencing. It might be something else. I didn't really watch the animated series. But either way, let's see how Wolverine retaliates.
Nice glove, Bob, but I'm real some bones to keep. That claw's like a strap-on. There's a pussy underneath. Don't sleep. That's all you got for me. We defeat your ass with a cup of tea, and then you hell it back and whoop Satan's ass. You got beat by a dizzy on Elm Street.
Okay, so right here we're talking. Yeah, he's talking about how he's serious with what he does, and talking about how Freddy is just some guy who kills kids. Yeah, and how his claws are actually a part of him, while with Freddy's they're just a glove. Ultimately, we got some pretty solid guesses here. Now let's see how he continues this.
Wanna talk about burns back? The PTA turned your face into Deadpool ball sack, wrapped in a Where's Waldo sweater. Jason can't talk and he rocks the mic better. So step into my cat.
1 second. Yeah, that's better.
See if you can act that better. Hang on to your whack hat, cause your worst nightmare ain't Jim Jackson compared to the least of our next flashbacks on it.
Okay. Yeah, so we got some pretty good, lines here. Talking about how... so we just got it him referencing how, how Freddy can't, scare him with his nightmares because his Weapon X flashbacks are worse than him. Talking about how the PTA set him on fire and made him look just as bad as Deadpool, who is notoriously ugly given his cancer. Yeah, then talking about how Jason's considered better by many people than him. And then, of course, we got he's not over yet. Oh, and of course, referencing, there was the line about, pun working in Hugh Jackman and, into this one. So, let's see how we finish it. Okay, saying that he's only ever gonna be half of Edward Scissorhands. I mean, that makes sense. Edward Scissorhands has 2 different hands made of scissors. Yeah, while Freddy Krueger has 1 hand that's knives. Technically, that would only be a quarter, but either way. And then saying that he's gonna take his whole franchise out with a fist bump. That's actually pretty funny. Although, Freddy always comes back. Even after the final Nightmare, he came back in Freddy vs. Jason and in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Even Jason came back too many times. Freddy, he stayed dead. Now, let's see how Freddy retaliates. Okay, so we have a few jokes, calling him short, joking about how he killed Jean Grey in the one X-Men movie. And then turning into a magnet, which if you remember those, the X-Men movies, Magneto was notorious for using Wolverine's adamantium skeleton against him. So let's see how this goes then. Okay, so we saw Wolverine getting sucked in by the magnet, saying yeah, well, yeah, Freddy's questioning what a Wolverine is. Which, I mean, makes sense. A lot of people only know what a Wolverine is, the name Wolverine from the character. But Wolverines are monsters in real life. But, really, yeah, that is, still kind of funny. And saying he was more intimidated by a tiny Canadian the first time he saw Justin Bieber. Again, Wolverine in the animated series and comic books was short. He's Canadian. And, of course, Justin Bieber, his music will make your ears bleed. So let's see how Wolverine finishes this. Apparently he's waking up from the dream world now. Okay. Yeah, pretty solid rhymes here. Yeah, saying that he'd call him again if he needs his toast buttered, saying that his claws are essentially just butter knives. Yeah. And then joking about comparing him to R. Kelly. Yeah, but... And, now, let's see how he does what he says now. Okay, so Wolverine finishes it up saying that the only thing that scares him is a fridge with no beer, because he's notorious for drinking beer. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and then saying that he can clearly see that Freddy's getting scared, and saying that he should call him if he needs if he has another itch to scratch, with meaning that he's definitely going to slash him with his claws if he gets the chance. And then we see Freddy coming out of the walls like he did in the first movie. That was actually pretty cool. But ultimately, who won this? Wolverine. I mean, honestly, if it was a fight, Freddy will probably win if it's in the dream world, but ultimately, if it's in the real world, Wolverine would win. But ultimately, as we can see here, ultimately, Wolverine had the better rhymes, better rhythm. Yeah, he clearly wasn't backing down to Freddy. He negated almost every rhyme set against him. Ultimately, I can't really, argue for Freddy in this. So ultimately, the second battle, won by Wolverine. Now, time for the third battle, that we're going into today. Guy Fawkes versus Che Guevara. Battle of the Failed Revolutionaries. Ultimately, Guy Fawkes has a lot he can go at. But Che Guevara, I don't really see much that he could go after. He could talk about how Guy Fawkes failed, but he failed too, so it's not really much he can talk about. Maybe he could reference that he's Catholic. But, Guy Fawkes has, a lot more to work with here that I can, think of off the bat, so let's see what he says here. What they do here. Now. Okay, Guy Fawkes here. We got him wearing his iconic clothes, with his sword and the iconic Guy Fawkes mask, worn by hackers and other terrorists throughout the world, and popularized by the movie V for Vendetta, which was a guy trying to do exactly what Guy Fawkes did. Blow up Parliament. Yes, he was a terrorist. But ultimately, he was a terrorist with a cause that a lot of people would actually say was good. In fact, there's actually a Guy Fawkes Day. And we even have that, and it looks like Peter actually grew the same kind of facial hair that Guy Fawkes had. And now let's see what, the next guy. Okay. Okay. Pretty solid depiction of Che Guevara. Costume's good. Got the facial hair, right? The hat and the wig. Pretty solid. Ultimately, costumes for this battle? Pretty good. Yeah, they even have the iconic pose of him looking up. Yeah, with the same stance and everything. Let's see how this goes.
Fresh angle bearer, ill rock slayer from the 60s era, revolting heavy metal rebel blood spiller. Me and my gorillas are a squad of killers. Known worldwide for my steely-eyed look. Famous because of that was third best book. All the children say we will be like Che. That's Matt. I don't take your breath away.
Okay, coming out pretty strong here. Che Guevara is referencing how he was he and his guerrillas, which were his the people who fought with him, but they were used guerrilla warfare, so he calls them guerrillas. Were heavy metal blood spillers. Heavy metal is a type of music which is seen as very powerful. Calling them powerful blood spillers. Saying that he's known worldwide for his steely-eyed look. Which I'm not really sure how to explain that. And claiming that Guy Fawkes is famous for Alan Moore's third best book. Now, he is popularized by pop culture. V for Vendetta, itself was actually the thing that made a lot of people know who he is. Now, then saying that he's asthmatic, but it'll take his breath away. He was asthmatic. But he is still a ruthless, was still a ruthless killer. A lot of famous fighters were asthmatic, including Theodore Roosevelt. I can't think of any others, but Theodore Roosevelt. That doesn't say anything, and nothing will.
Try to rebel against James the First. Here's a tip for your next one. Try to rehearse. I got my face on a magnet on your roommate's fridge. Your head is on a spike up on London Bridge. You had one job, Governor, to strike a matchstick. I'd get hot with the fuse like your bump.
Okay. So this is actually a pretty good, good battle so far. We may not have heard anything from Guy, but Che Guevara was putting up a pretty good fight. Saying that he should rehearse next time. I mean, makes sense. I mean, he did fail, but, both of them failed, so it's not much he can call him out on. Saying that he's got his face on a magnet on his roommate's fridge. Talking about his, fame with, with how people are still using his face as a symbol to this day. While Guy Fawkes has his head on a spike up on London Bridge. He was executed, his head was put on a spike up on London Bridge. I'm not sure what else I can say about that. Saying that he had one job covered on to strike a matchstick. Got caught with a fuse like his bar's not lit. Well, Cabron. I'm not gonna say what it is, but translate, I believe it's Spanish, and you'll see what it is. Got caught with a fuse like your bar's not lit. Basically, lit is a word that, to my knowledge, is slang for cool, good, whatever, something similar to that. And of course, he was caught before he could light the fuse on the many, many barrels of gunpowder that they were using to blow up Parliament. Now, this was actually due to the fact that, one of the people that, was supporting Guy Fawkes sent in an anonymous letter asking what would happen, hypothetically, if someone did try to blow up Parliament. And then they realized what was happening and stopped Guy Fawkes when he was trying to blow up the barrels. Now let's see how Che Guevara finishes this.
Stay anonymous, epic fail, guys. Treat this battle like the gallows. Take another dive.
Okay, referencing his execution. Now, saying he should have stayed an anonymous epic fail guy. Well, I'm not really sure what I can say about that. But treat this battle like the gallows. Take another dive. Well, he was hung in the gallows. So, well, I guess you could count him jump, falling when he was getting hung as taking a dive. kind of ushering him in, saying this as to usher him into his battle. So let's see what Guy Fawkes has to say as a reply.
Communist, it must really hurt that your face has been cheapened, weakened, besmirched, being plastered on posters, coasters, and shirts, making capitalist rates off of you on Earth. I'm a pious man and a fight for the Lord. I would cut you, and I don't want your sweat on my floor. I was captured until I could hardly sign my name, and listening to you felt pretty much the same.
Okay, Guy Fawkes is coming out strong too. Saying that coming in saying that he shouldn't be proud of his fame because he's a communist. You shouldn't be proud about his face being put on so much stuff because he's just making a bunch of capitalists even richer than they are. I'm a diehard capitalist, and even I think that that's a bad thing. A communist, having his face get a lot of people money. And then saying that he was tortured until he couldn't even sign his name. Guy Fawkes was heavily tortured. And then saying that that felt about the same as having to listen to him rap. That is a good burn. Well, pun intended. Now, let's see how we keep this going. Okay. So saying that he's essentially Castro. Castro was a communist dictator. The US actually tried assassinating him a lot. Of course, we failed, but they gave us some interesting weapons, like the exploding cigar. Pretty cool, but ultimately, it was, we did fail. But he's a pretty bad dictator. Che Guevara, to my knowledge, Che Guevara fought against him. And I don't understand the rest of the line. And then saying, revolt all you want, I don't give two cuts. Basically just pulling a twist on his name to, for the joke. And then mentioning this current state of Venezuela. And now, let's see, Che Guevara's rebuttal to this.
God, you died for the Catholics. A group with a bad touching little boys hat and the porn star pilgrim look. What's up with that? It's more like being for very bad hats. Okay.
So we have him saying that you can't say Venezuela sucks when you died for for the Catholics who are notorious for molesting little kids, specifically little boys. And then talking about how badly he's dressed, and then saying that it should be more like V for very bad hat. Saying that he had a terrible hat, and referencing and insulting him with a play on the movie V for Vendetta, which made Guy Fawkes as well known as he is. But let's see what else he's got.
Very bad hat. Oh, what's the fox say now? When they cut your junk now.
Okay, I just think Che Guevara lost this. He just referenced what does the fox say, and as you know, I hate that song. Why am I saying as you know? I never mentioned that on this channel. By the way, I'm joking. This isn't going to be enough to make him lose it, but that was a pretty weak, bad rhyme.
When they cut your junk out, the hardest Marxist ever graced the banknote. Ever prone terrorist, penny for the scapegoat. Still trying to boast about your mind notes with Guido. You muddled your economy like meat in a burrito. This very battle disproves your communist initiative. These rhyme skills are not evenly distributed.
Okay. Now, the main part of communism is the distribution of wealth. Basically meaning everything gets evenly distributed amongst everyone. Now, it sounds good on paper, but it's not really a good method, but point is, he's referencing how, this battle is proving how his communist initiative has failed, because their skill is not evenly distributed. Basically saying that he is by far superior to him as far as rhyming goes. So they can't really say that, communism is working here.
These rhyme skills are not evenly distributed! I'm Catholic, I've got mass when I'm rapping! You're an OJ, that's by a pig Latin! After what just happened, you should retire! It's the 5th of November,
Okay, that was a pretty good ending. Yeah, so, saying he's Catholic, he's got Mass when he's rapping. A Catholic Mass is a ceremony that's held in churches. Yeah, and he said, it said that he's Umpche, it's Bay of Pigs Latin. Chump is Pig Latin for, Umpche is Pig Latin for chump, and referencing the Bay of Pigs. That's actually pretty funny. And then saying, after what just happened, you should retire. Basically saying that he lost, so he shouldn't try again. And then saying, is it the 5th of November? Because I'm on fire. The plan was... remember, the 5th of November. The gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Guy Fawkes' plan was that on the 5th of November, he would go to Parliament and light the fuse on the barrels of gunpowder and send Parliament sky high. But unfortunately, it was failed. He planned that he would go out with Parliament and be blown to smithereens. Saying that is it the 5th of November because I'm on fire? That was just genius. Ultimately, he was planning on being on fire on the 5th of November. Yes, and he was on fire in this battle. Ultimately, I'm gonna have to say Guy Fawkes destroyed it in this battle. He won. Ultimately, Che Guevara, as I stated, didn't have much that he could go after. I mean, he tried going after how he failed, but they both failed, so he couldn't really use that. Guy Fawkes could go after communism. Yeah, and the rest of the stuff. Yeah, stuff that he went after in this. Yeah, but Che Guevara, all he could really go after was was Catholicism. And a few other things. I mean, joking about his execution, that makes some sense. And don't get me wrong, Che Guevara had some pretty good lines, but ultimately, it wasn't much of a competition. Guy Fawkes was just better. Now, with that in mind, let's go to the next battle of the season, which is infamous. Just kidding, it's not infamous, but it was actually one of the ones from their series, short-lived series after Battle of History started back up. Ronald McDonald versus the Burger King. Actually, the series was called Flash in the Pan Hip-Hop Conflicts of Nowadays, but I'm talking about the battle itself. Ronald McDonald versus the Burger King. Okay, so we got to, this starting off pretty strongly with the Burger King. Saying calling him one flame-broiled clown. Have it your way. Have it your way. Their motto is welcome to BK, where you can have it your way. So that's actually pretty good. And saying he's played out like a Chuck E. Cheese token. Unfortunately, Chuck E. Cheese stopped using tokens, which sucks because I like the tokens, and they switched over to those stupid cards. Either way, a lot of people say they're played out, which I guess could also be a pun on how you use them to play games. And then saying that his style's like his ice cream machine's broken. McDonald's is notorious for having broken ice cream machines. Now let's see this. Okay, MC is a common term that is used to describe rappers in general, but it's short for Master of Ceremonies. Now he's saying that he's going to call him Ronald Donald, because that is what happens when you take the MC out of McDonald. Basically, to pretty solid line, but I don't really think it's going to be enough to get him to do much. Burger King? Okay, pretty strong so far, but let's see McDonald's rebuttal.
There's no MC. Why don't you call me Ronald Jeremy? Because I'm getting nasty. Like the Whoppers you sell me. The horse lips and half me. That's Rick and Morty who's a lyrical boss. I've got lines for days. Call me Szechuan sauce. The undisputed go to fucking burgers and bellies of fast food. M&M, your machine gun Kelly. I'm Coke to your Pepsi. I'm Mac, your androids. Let's be real. I'm Nice Peter and you're Epic Lloyd.
What? Okay. So, yeah, we have some pretty odd rhymes here. Yeah, so, saying that saying those Whoppers are gross, which, I mean, a lot of people say Whoppers are terrible. A lot of people like them, though. Then saying that, ask Rick and Morty, who's the lyrical boss, I've got lines for days, call me Szechuan sauce. That's a reference to the Rick and Morty episode. Yeah, where Rick and Morty are going on a quest to get Szechuan sauce, I believe it was. I don't actually watch the show, but I am familiar with this. Ultimately, it got McDonald's to bring Rick and Morty back. Got McDonald's to bring Szechuan sauce back. Yeah, but it is a pretty famous thing. Then saying that he's the undisputed goat of putting burgers in bellies. Goat is commonly thought of as being short for greatest of all time. Then saying that he's fast food Eminem and he's Machine Gun Kelly. Now this is referencing the online feud between Machine Gun Kelly, or MGK as people call him, and Eminem, the rap legend. Now, it's saying that he's fast food Eminem and he's Machine Gun Kelly. That's because Eminem is better than MGK in every way. He's a better rapper, and his lines are just better altogether. Saying that he's Coke to his Pepsi. Coke is seen as the far superior drink than Pepsi. But then I don't get the next line, saying that he's Mac and he's Android, which is weird because Android's better than Mac. And then saying that he should face it. He's Nice Peter and he's Epic Lloyd, which might just be a reference to the fact that McDonald is played by Peter and Lloyd plays the Burger King. But ultimately, Lloyd is better than Peter in these things. He wins, statistically far more often than he does. Ultimately, I can say that, Ronald McDonald, I'd say pretty solid, but tying with Burger King. But let's see Burger King's rebuttal. Now, let's break this down. So, now, first he starts off by referencing, the ball pits at McDonald's play places. Those things are notoriously filthy. There are even stories about kids dying from getting stabbed with heroin needles and, that were in them. And then saying that he's, calling him that creepy clown. He's so spooky, it's insane. He looks like he just ate someone's brother in a storm drain. That's referencing the famous scene from the movie It, where Pennywise the dancing clown ate Georgie. Who was the main character's little brother. Notoriously from being in a storm drain the entire scene. Where, of course, Tim Curry destroyed that scene. And then, saying that he ain't loving anything. That's referencing McDonald's famous slogan of "I'm loving it." saying even if Timberlake sings, that's because he's who does the slogan. And then saying that he's running circles around him like his onion rings, that's because Burger King has really good onion rings, and of course he's saying that he's running circles around him. Now let's see, and Ronald McDonald is apparently admitting that he has good onion rings. Let's see how he rebuttals.
But that verse was lifeless, you had no joy in it. Last rapper, this plastic had a Happy Meal toy in it. I'm serving millions and I can't be beat. You're a bin full of lettuce, facing defeat. Using Cheetos, dude, get your recipes together, man. I've had the same prices I was willing to got the weather, man. I'm the best trash talking mascot in town. You may be the king, but a clown with the crown.
Okay, so we have some pretty good lines here, saying that his verse was lifeless and it had no joy in it. Last rapper, this plastic had a Happy Meal toy in it. That's because he's saying that... No, saying that he the last time he saw a rapper, this plastic had a Happy Meal toy in it, is saying that he's a people usually say that people, who are weird are like a piece of wood. But I guess plastic works too. And Happy Meals come in plastic wrapping. Then saying that he is serving billions and he can't be beat. Well, McDonald's is the #1 fast food company in the world. And I don't think he's gonna be beaten up. They're gonna be beaten up anytime soon. Yeah. And then saying he's a bin full of lettuce facing defeat. That's because Burger King, and that's thing with foot lettuce. And defeat, it is, well, a pun, working on the word defeat and facing defeat, because foot lettuce. Talking about then McDonald's talks about how he's using Cheetos in his kids' meals, and that he needs to get his recipes together, because McDonald's has been using the same recipe for their fries since McDonald wasn't even a clown. And since he was just a weatherman. Then saying that he's the best trash-talking mascot in town, he might be the king, but a clown wears the crown. Saying that he is the best, mascot rapper. But unfortunately, as much as I wish it was, this isn't over. Okay, we have Wendy interrupting this battle. She comes in with the where's the beef thing. Yeah, and of course, she comes in talking about how the other two are old. Yeah, and then talking about how she'll square up with them, like the corners of her, meat patties. Because Wendy's has square burgers instead of the usual circle. Which gives you more, burger, but, doesn't fit well in your hand. And talking about, and then she says that, she's gonna be topping both of them, and then and how she's exploiting them, like people growing their tomatoes. And then, let's see how much else she has to say. Now, with this, we hear her saying, that their food is bad, they're creepy, and McDonald's, is outdated. And also, I'd just like to point this out, but the guy who was played that kid, who got left behind apparently, he actually is one of the main people in Ever Grab House of History who apparently gives them lectures about keeping receipts and keeping drinks off of prop tables. But the funny thing is, they actually told him what kind of clothes that he should get for the part, and apparently all of them were in his closet. But anyways, she's not done yet. Okay, so they're referencing how, she references how she's, how Wendy's is notoriously mean on Twitter. Yeah, but, and then talk about how how a restaurant never has frozen meat. Which, ultimately, she also uses it as a twist on how people sometimes call rivalries having beef with people. Either way, ultimately, I can say Wendy was the clear loser here. Her rhymes were boring. She didn't really have much to say. And ultimately, she can't talk since her food's worse than McDonald's and Burger King's. Ultimately, she's the loser here. Second place, I'm gonna give it to McDonald's. Ultimately, Burger King just was better. Although I do like that one line where he said that he's fast food Eminem and he's Machine Gun Kelly. I'm an Eminem fan, pretty big Eminem fan, and even I will say, that was good. Yeah. Now, with that in mind though, I will say, it was a pretty solid battle, but it's about to get destroyed. Because the next one is one of the best epic rap battles of history of all time. George Carlin versus Richard Pryor. Now we got George Carlin here. Pretty simple costume, actually. It's just mostly just black clothes and terrible shoes, as the costume designer used in his own words. And ultimately, that wig and that fake beard are probably the only difficult parts of the costume. But ultimately, it's a pretty good costume. Looks quite like George Carlin. Okay, Richard Pryor. This is a pretty good version of his costume. Version of Richard Pryor. Looks quite like him. And ultimately, costumes for this one are quite good. Now, originally it was quite interesting seeing how they were going to write jokes for comedy legends. Even though these aren't the actual legends, most of them are dead. But, George Carlin versus Richard Pryor. Okay, George Carlin coming out strong. Talking about how he's great at getting crowds to laugh. Saying that that Richard Pryor isn't threatening, saying that he's the only one, black guy less threatening than him is Carlton, and if you don't believe how unthreatening Carlton is, because you don't know who he is, look up the Carlton on YouTube and see if you can find a video of Carlton dancing, and it's pretty funny, but oh, and fair warning for all of you who don't like offensive language or cussing, cover your ears. George Carlin has a pretty rotten mouth, and he's about to reference his most famous routine. So demonetized. I'm so demonetized. Okay, saying that he's wilder than Gene, referencing Gene Wilder, who, if you don't know who he is, you are probably familiar with Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's a personal favorite as far as childhood movies go, well, one of my personal favorites. It's awesome, and Gene Wilder is the best actor from that movie. He killed it as Willy Wonka. And the only person, and ultimately, saying that he's wilder than Gene. Yeah, when Gene Wilder's last name is Gene Wilder. Quite impressive. And then saying that Richard Pryor is steady taking second place. That's a silver streak. Silver is commonly thought of as second place, because in a lot of competitions, silver is reserved for second place, while gold's first place. And also, Silver Streak is a movie with Richard Pryor in it. Ultimately, George Carlin, starting out pretty great. Let's see how Richard Pryor comes back with his rebuttal. Okay, now, that's a reference to how some bars have minimum amount of drinks you have to get. Yeah, because they want to make sure that that they actually get money when you go to the bars. Ultimately, they do need to make money, so they put in a drink minimum. Kind of like how some bars have a drink maximum of how many drinks you can have. Yeah, because they don't want people to get too drunk. But ultimately, it's the opposite. It's the minimum amount of drinks you have to get before you can leave. Now, he's basically saying here that George Carlin's jokes are so unfunny that people need to be at least a little drunk in order to find them funny. Okay, talking again about how George Carlin isn't all that funny. Yeah, but he's also mentioning how he is very funny. Saying about how every time he jokes, people are laughing so hard that it hurts their stomach. Yeah, and of course referencing the time he set his hair on fire. Yeah, but this is all. But he's also mentioning how he writes all of his jokes beforehand. Saying that even the stuff that he says off the top. So I guess that's a kind of a bit against himself. Yeah. So ultimately, Richard Pryor so far, pretty good. But let's see how he goes more. Okay, Bill Cosby just entered the battle. Now, Bill Cosby is notoriously hilarious, so let's see how he does in this. Ultimately, I say he might even be just as funny as George Carlin, if not funnier. Okay. I think they're joking about Bill Cosby's rape accusations. Even though I stand by the fact that he was innocent. He was arrested for numerous rape allegations. And ultimately, people said that he drugged women and then raped. Also, he liked pudding. Joan Rivers. If anyone is worse than what people think of Bill Cosby, it's her. She's not even funny. Okay, joking about them having heart attacks, and saying that Cosby she's gonna end Cosby like another guy named Hannibal Buress, who was a lot like Cosby. Talking about his sweater. Okay. Saying that his sweater was bad, even though his sweater is quite famous. Yeah, talking about how, he was a bad person, but she's not as bad. And let's see what she comes with.
With the movies, let me move on to movies. My jokes always had, but you started out coldly. You just kept talking, you wouldn't shut up. Honestly, I'm glad you died. 14 specials was enough. And Richard, can we talk? Can I call you Dick like your fifth wife did when you remarried your six? At this point, I've got more plastic than flesh, but my Tupperware body couldn't keep your ass fresh. I think my point is...
Okay, so we have her joking about how, she has had so much plastic surgery that ultimately she is more plastic than flesh, meaning that she is more plastic than her skin. Yeah, but her Tupperware body couldn't keep their wraps fresh. Tupperware is what's used to keep food, from going bad longer after it's been made. And then Bill Cosby gets up and she hits him over the head with what looks like a lamp. Can't be a coincidence, can it? Am I the one seeing this thing with the lamp? The lamp's turning red and moving. Robin Williams, the funniest comedian to ever come out of Hollywood. And probably one of the funniest people to ever live. Coming out with a reference to Good Morning Vietnam. Saying Good Morning Movie bombs, basically talking about how they fail with every movie they make. And coming out, like the genie from Aladdin out of the lamp. Whoa. He just attacked each of them with a reference to one of his own movies. George Carlin got hit with Dead Poets Society. Joan Rivers got hit with, Mork and Mindy. Which was actually if I remember correctly, one of the first things that Robin Williams actually acted in. Where he played as an alien known as Nanu Nanu. Basically referencing all of her plastic surgery and nose jobs, saying that while Mork aged backwards, Joan, she must too, 80 years old, but that nose looks brand new, not new. Referencing, his part in, Mork and Mindy. And then, of course, Richard Pryor got hit with a reference to one of Robin Williams' most famous movies, Mrs. Doubtfire. Even slamming his face into a cake, to reference to the famous scene. And now let's see. So far, Robin Williams is crushing it. Let's see how he keeps going this. More references to his movies. Good Will Hunting, Flubber. Ultimately, these are some... he's packed full of references. And a lot of comic relief, too. Plus, the beat's pretty awesome. Okay, so we have, so we have a reference to one of the, what's considered one of Robin Williams' greatest performances in Jumanji, which, while getting a sequel, with starring Jack Black, Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, and a bunch of other actors, ultimately, the original is considered much better by many people. And Robin Williams was the star of it, I believe. Yeah, but either way, without that, let's cut that. With that out of the way, he also referenced Aladdin once more, saying that he'll never have a friend like him, referencing the song from Aladdin, "You'll Never Have a Friend Like Me." And then saying, "Thanks folks, that's my time. Gotta set myself free." That's how a lot of stand-up comedians end their time. But saying that he's gotta set himself free, I'm not sure if that's a reference to Aladdin or a suicide joke. Either way, it's a pretty good way to close it off. But ultimately, who won? I'm gonna try placing him. Now, winner is obviously Robin Williams. Second place, I might have to say a tie between George Carlin and Richard Pryor. Maybe a slight edge to George Carlin. And, third place, it's actually difficult to choose between Joan Rivers and Bill Cosby. Not only was she not a good one, but she roofied Bill Cosby, and then hit him over the head with a lamp. But Bill Cosby came out pretty strong, and then got roofied. And tried getting back up after getting roofied. I might just have to say Bill Cosby's ahead of Joan Rivers. And, at the end of the credits for this one, there was actually a teaser. For the next, rap battle. Which was actually one of my favorites to date. Not as good as this one, but it's Jacques Cousteau versus Steve Irwin. Battle of the Conservationists. Oh, and I would also like to mention that the costumes for that battle were pretty great. But let's check out Jacques Cousteau versus Steve Irwin. Okay, pretty good costume here. We got his glasses, his hat. The shirt and pants are probably easy to find. And the makeup's pretty good too. So it's a pretty simple costume to get if, you got a good image. Well, Steve Irwin, of course, this is the main thing he wore. Ultimately, it's a pretty simple costume to put together, regardless, given that this is the main thing he's ever seen wearing. And we see him holding a snake. Ultimately, this is a pretty good costume. Again, this is, Lloyd versus Peter again. Let's see how they do. Okay. Now, let's break this down. It's saying that he's so cool Bill Murray played him in the movie. Bill Murray is one of the greatest actors to ever come out of Hollywood, so, He's also pretty funny like Robin Williams, but not even close to the same level. Saying that he's a Palme d'Or-winning documenter of the ocean, ready to battle a desperate, sweaty showman. That's because Jacques Cousteau was an explorer who documented a lot of undersea life. But Steve Irwin, yes, he was conservationist, but he was just mostly famous for having a TV show on cable. And saying he's chunky and soft, he gets on his nerves. He's the only manatee he doesn't want to conserve. Ultimately, that's because he was, saying that he's overweight, slow, like a manatee. And, saying that he doesn't like him. Because Jacques Cousteau did, want to conserve manatees. Saying that then his life aquatic was adventure and beauty, and then a Bill Murray line. He spent a lot of time underwater. as he did in Met Scuba. Yeah, then talking about how he has Oscars, but he's in Dr. Dolittle 2. Dr. Dolittle 2 was seen as wasn't that popular of a movie, and well, Jacques Cousteau had Oscars, and a lot of people think Oscars are the pinnacle, of an achievement for actors and movie makers and all that stuff. But then again, a lot of people that shouldn't get Oscars have Oscars. And a lot of people who, and a lot of unexpected people have Oscars too. I mean, Eminem has an Oscar, albeit he did deserve that Oscar. It was for Best Movie Soundtrack for 8 Mile, and it was a good soundtrack. And then, of course, he closed with a joke about getting killed by a stingray. Saying, and just to be clear, because I'm no veterinarian, were you killed by a fish kids pet at the aquarium? That was a little. And let's see how Steve Irwin retaliates. Okay, so we have Steve Irwin coming in, talking about how much of a low blow it was to talk about his death. Yeah, you better run, you better take cover. That's a clear reference to what it is. And then talking about how he's going from croc to Jacques Hunter. That's because he's known as the Crocodile Hunter. Then he starts, observing him like he does most animals. Saying that he has a body of a naked mole rat. Naked mole rats are notoriously ugly. Saying have a look at this salty fella. Salty is another word for angry. Saying that he has a face made of pure leather. His face is pretty wrinkled. And then he's saying he's mad because he has to wear a Papa Smurf hat. It does kind of look like Papa Smurf's hat. And then let's see how Steve Irwin keeps it going. Puns. And wordplay.
You're such a boring guy. You can make a whole show about the ocean. Try. But with the shields, you sure had fun. Your interest was as young as your firstborn son. You never should have stepped to the wildlife defend. Now embrace your French nature and quietly surrender.
Okay, that was funny. Okay. Saying, crikey, you're such a boring guy, you can make a whole show about the ocean dry. Dry is considered another word for boring, so I don't really have to explain that much further. And then that joke about having an affair, with a girl as young as his firstborn son. I don't really think I need to explain any further on that. And then you never should have stepped to the wildlife defender. That's because Steve Irwin is, well, considered the wildlife defender. He would do anything to save animals. Yes. Heck, he wanted to get as much money as he could so he could buy a wildlife landscape just to protect nature. And then saying, now embrace your French nature and quietly surrender. France is actually notorious for surrendering. I actually know a guy who calls the French, cheese-eating surrender monkeys. I'm gonna get the montage for saying that. Let's see how Jacques Cousteau retaliates. Okay. Now, saying that he almost turned his son into Outback Steakhouse. Outback Steakhouse I believe, Australian steak restaurant, and then Steakhouse, well, it's a pun. And, well, I'm not really sure I have to go into that. And then, Steve Irwin saying, would you rather talk about your brother Oh boy. Nazi, Nazi, Nazi. Oi, oi, oi. Jacques Cousteau's brother was a Nazi. Not really sure I have to go much further into that, but let's get back into this.
Now watch what you're saying now. You almost turned yours into outback mistakes when you ran and talk about your brother. Oi, Nazi, Nazi, Nazi. Oi, oi, oi. Enough of your antics and madness. Contain yourself like I'm the one the breathing apparatus. You're a joke of a bloke in a tacky cat your umber. Go go for no broke crocodile humper. There's a type of snail recently discovered and named after you. I'll eat them with butter. Skippy, the Muslim kangaroo. Hosiki, I'm crocodile. Done with you.
Okay, he referenced how there's a new snail that was recently discovered that was named after Steve Irwin. It was quite cool. And then how he's going to eat the snail with butter. That's because the French are, you know, well, they eat snails. It's called escargot. I think that's a pretty weak rhyme, but And then saying, hey Skippy the bush league kangaroo. Kangaroos are a pretty famous Australian animal. Yeah, then saying, hold the D, I'm Crocodile done with you. That's obviously referencing Crocodile Dundee. And then let's see how Steve Irwin finishes this off.
I'm crocodile done with you. Where you going, fella? Hang on a minute. Like a cherry in a pouch, this ain't quite finished. Take a look at us, destructive. Your old films are Silent World. More like Silent World style. If you want to count fish, please take the reef tour. Don't go throwing Steve Ford on the seafloor. I'm the gold medal driver on the podium. Cleaning you up like a Jacques Custodian. I'm Mother Nature's Freud, his conservationist. On a road to Michael Danger, Danger, Dangerous. I go big down under with your crew. Just playing through you like I did you.
Okay. Talking about how Jacques Cousteau threw explosives into the ocean. Yeah, with a bunch of puns, calling him a Jacques Custodian. Custodian is a saying that he's cleaning him up like a Jacques Custodian. That's because a custodian is another word for a janitor. Yeah, then saying how he's Mother Nature's greatest conservationist, but when he rocks the mic, he's danger, danger, dangerous. That's referencing, something from Steve Irwin. Yeah, that Steve Irwin said. And talking about how he cares about, protecting the environment, but he is dangerous. To people, he's facing on the mic. And then saying, go back down under with your crew. Down under is what people use to refer to Australia, where Steve Irwin's from. And down under could just mean underwater. And then saying that he just blew through him like a didgeridoo. A didgeridoo is a famous woodwind instrument from Australia. Ultimately, who won this? Steve Irwin, hands down. His rhymes were better. It was far more funny. Yeah, and ultimately, I just say he won this. Also, before I go into the next one, I'd just like to point this out. Their accents were on point. It was great. Ultimately, I can see why these guys are so big on YouTube. Now, let's get on to the next battle, which is actually an interesting matchup. Mother Teresa versus Sigmund Freud. Now, the matchup here, it's actually more complex than people think. Now, the base of it is that Sigmund Freud was the guy who, came up with the concept of the Oedipus complex, and Mother Teresa, his mother in her name. But also, their religious, concepts. Mother Teresa, die-hard Christian, and Sigmund Freud, like me, a die-hard atheist. Now, with that in mind, let's check this out. Now, this is actually Peter versus someone else, so let's check it out. Nice beat. Okay. It's probably hard to see considering how bright, this looks. But, costume, pretty on point, and we see Mother Teresa above clouds, so guessing that's supposed to be heaven. Okay, Sigmund Freud, that's scary accurate. And we see him in front of what, I'm not sure what this is, but I think it's supposed to be a quilt. I don't know. Okay, let's break this down. Okay, 3 stripes like Adidas, and she's doing it for Jesus. Oh, she has 3 stripes on her hood, and it's, I only thought it was Adidas. She's got a peace prize, but she's not friendly, while Sigmund Freud, he's 0 for 13 as a nominee, which I think makes no sense, because if anyone should have a prize in psychology, it should be him, given that he was the father of psychoanalysis. Saying that, then she says, look at that egghead, Mama wants some omelets. Basically saying she's gonna crack his head open. Then saying that she gave food, bed, medicine, and showers to those poor souls leprosy had devoured. Basically talking about, the great things that she did. And then saying that his legacy is people who are mad at their parents, complaining on the couch for $200 an hour. That's basically taking a shot at psychology, which a bunch of people, most people say shouldn't even be considered, considered medical, and shouldn't even be taken seriously, even though it is important. Now, ultimately, she didn't really start out that strong, but let's see how Sigmund Freud comes out with this. He's a narcissist. Okay. We got him talking about how she's hideous. Talking about how she's hideous. We have him mentioning his narcissism by saying that his favorite subject is himself. And of course we have him talking. Then we have him taking a crack at Christianity as a whole. And all of her efforts to help people. So, let's see what, he says next. Okay, so we start off with we get another crack at Christianity. Talking about how she did a lot, what she did wasn't as good as people think. We have a reference to how a lot of her work was done in India. And, well, Calcutta Czech. I'm not really sure I have to explain that one much further. Then, saying that he can see right through her. Probably a reference to how psychology allows you to see through people. Metaphorically, of course. If that was literal, then there would be a lot more people taking psychology for X-ray vision. And then saying that since she can see right through her and she's got no flavor, he's essentially battling a communion wafer, which are those weird things that they have you eat at church. Now, let's see how Mother Teresa's rebuttals. Well, reference to the Freudian slip, which is a psychology thing. I'm not going to go much into this since the video's dragging on pretty long anyway. Okay, a few attacks at psychology. One line saying that his rhymes are so poor, she should be washing their feet. Okay, that's quite obvious. But then we have, we also had a reference to her, to his, things of, studies about, the effect on drugs on human brains. He actually tested that himself. That's why she said that he built a strong tolerance for cocaine. But mainly it was just cracks in psychology. Oh, and I especially like how she ended, said that she'll end him like a prayer, mother, lover, amen. That was actually pretty good. But let's see how Sigmund Freud finishes this off. Okay, he's analyzing her. Which is kind of what he does. He is a psychiatrist. Okay. We have, so a couple more, another shot at her looks. Yeah, so we have a shot at her looks. Yeah, talking about how, yeah, so, let's see, a shot at her looks. Yeah, talking about how what she did, yeah, was good, but her methods of doing that good was detestable. And that she's seen better care given to organic vegetables. A lot of people treat organic vegetables and they grow quite well, actually. Or maybe he's talking about organic vegetables as people in comas. Yeah, you know. And then another shot of Christianity saying all these tokens of smoke and miracles. If you really believe all this stuff, you're hysterical. And then I especially like how he closed it saying, yeah, that he can, continue to beat her, but our time is up, Teresa. That's how a lot of therapists close out, so it actually works quite well. So who wins this? I say Sigmund Freud. Ultimately, I can, really say that he had better lines, better flow. Yeah, ultimately, I just say he won. And now for the next one. This was actually their Halloween special. Vlad the Impaler versus Count Dracula. Yeah. This is an interesting matchup because Vlad the Impaler actually inspired Count Dracula. And Dracula was named after him too. So, there's a lot of story behind these two. So let's see how well they do here. Okay. It looks like they're going for more of a Christopher Lee, I think it is, version of Count Dracula. Actually, pretty amazing costume. They got the fangs, the pretty good hair, the cloak. I actually want that cloak. Ultimately, this is a pretty good costume. Okay, we have him wearing some more, royal clothing. Looks like there's some plate armor on it. Yeah, as shown here and here. There's some fur on there. His hair, actually quite nice hair, quite a nice wig. The mustache, he's quite well known for his paintings for that. And that hat actually kind of looks like the one of M. Bison from the Street Fighter movie, I think it was. And he has a giant stick which he used to impale people with.
I imagine forests of corpses dripping on a buffet. You call that a nightmare, I call that a Tuesday.
Okay, coming out strong here, but I just like to say this because I'm gonna forget it later. But that I call that a Tuesday line is actually referencing M. Bison from the Street Fighter movie, I believe it was, saying, "The day I attacked your village was the day your life changed forever. For me, it was a Tuesday." That is probably a reference to that, but also referencing how Vlad the Impaler was considered a monster by a lot of people because he was famous for impaling people and then eating next to their bodies and actually drank their blood sometimes. Okay, we have a reference to how he dipped his bread in his enemy's blood, and then ate it. And then how he scorched the earth from Hungary to Wallachia. Now, he's from a Wallachian prince, but scorched earth is actually a military tactic where you burn your supplies as you go, so that your enemy won't be able to get those supplies and then use it against you. Pretty common military strategy, back in the day. But also, he caused that. And as I mentioned, he was seen as a monster by a lot of people, but where he was from, he was seen as a hero. Because he was fighting against the enemies of where he was from. The Turks, the Hungarians, I think they're Hungarians, the Ottomans, and also, I'd just like to point this out, but the Ottomans lasted to World War I, I believe it was, but, Vladimir Hitler did some serious damage to them. And also a joke about how he inspires fear, but he inspires cartoon serial characters. One second, let me wind in my phone so. Okay, so he stepped to the Turks and the bodies started dropping. His army killed a lot of Turks. And how he put his foot on Ottomans, like he was furniture shopping. Ottomans are not just... the Ottoman Empire is what he's referring to, but Ottomans are also a item of furniture. And his army did a lot of damage to the Ottoman Empire before he was ultimately killed. And the interesting thing about, Vlad the Impaler, when he was killed, his head was, actually taken through the Ottoman Empire, as they rejoiced at finally being able to kill the guy who had done so much damage to them. And then it was, put on a spike, presented. But, either way, let's keep this going.
They like steaks, no need crucifix. I kill you with Olive Garden garlic bread steaks. I butcher men, women, and children like cows, forming the swords that fogo the chow.
Okay, so we have him talking about how Dracula's actually not nearly as strong as people think. Saying that he's not going to use stakes, he's not going to use the crucifix, he's going to kill Dracula with Olive Garden breadsticks. Because garlic kills vampires. Garlic is a vampire's weakness. Well, one of them. Many weaknesses, but garlic is one of them. Ultimately. Pretty good line. And then saying that he butchers men, women, and children like cows. He didn't care. He would kill anyone. And then saying that he put more meat on swords than Fogo de Chao. Fogo de Chao, I actually googled this after hearing this, is actually a steak company, I believe this. Saying that he puts more meat on swords than Fogo de Chao. Could be referencing to how many people to the fact that he impaled people. Could say that he killed a lot of people, mean that he personally killed a lot of people because he did fight with his army. But, can't exactly tell what it is.
Might still work at the blah blah blah. Check one.
Okay, so we have him talking about how the mic is checking to see if the mic works after his blah blah blah. Reference to Adam Sandler's portrayal of him in Hotel Transylvania. And then we have him saying 1, 2, referencing the Count from Sesame Street. Now, that's actually pretty interesting references since they're more modern portrayals, but let's see what else he's got.
Accelerator spirit conflict Catholics because I nibble necks and I make it look sexy. I'm universally known for intrigue and desire. I shape-shift into mist and blow with all the riders like hair, hot collar, and a damn nice cake. One that's got less taste than a damn rice cake.
Okay, we have him talking about how he's not going to be scared of Vlad as because he's more universally known. And how he's more and how he's less disturbed than Vlad is. Because he's universally known for intrigue and desire. Well, talking about how he does various things like shape-shifting into mist. Actually an interesting power of vampires. And then saying that he has less taste than an rice cake. A rice cake is a notoriously tasteless, paste cake. I'm not even sure it could be considered that. It's basically just a bunch of rice that's stuck together. I've had them. I used to eat them every day. It's in 4th grade. They are tasteless. If there's anything I could say it tastes like, it would be styrofoam. Don't ask how I know what styrofoam tastes like. But anyways. And Anne Rice was a actor in, I believe, one of the Dracula movies. Now let's see how Dracula keeps this going. Okay. Ultimately, he's saying that being his victim would be a privilege, but he's not going to bite him because he doesn't exactly seem like the guy who's keen on washing his neck. Because ultimately, Vlad does seem like the guy who wouldn't be doing that. He killed a lot of people and he drank their blood. I'm pretty sure hygiene isn't exactly his main concern. Oh, and also saying that his rhymes are empty, basically meaning there's nothing to them. Yeah, like he leaves vascular system. Dracula is a vampire, and vampires drink blood.
Shapeshift those punchlines. They missed. Skills like your reflection. It doesn't exist.
Okay, so he used a pun based on what Dracula said earlier about how he can transform into mist. Mist is yes, a vapor, but like substance. But it also is a word meaning that it didn't hit. Yeah, and didn't. But it could also be said for raps that they didn't work or were bad. And then said your skills like your reflection. It doesn't exist. That's referencing how vampires don't have a reflection. This is due to the fact that originally mirrors were made out of silver, which was considered a holy metal. And due to the fact that it's holy, vampires are monstrous beings, they don't have reflections. Now, let's see how he comes back in this.
Doesn't exist. Turn your taint to a dish. And put a stick through your thing and sucker this soft. Straight for Dracula. Eat my cum Dracula. You're smoking Dracula. Dunk on your wackula. Raps like I'm Dracula. Fly to the moon. Fly to hot nail. Fly to commit sex on rats. The jail. The jailer.
Okay, pretty good rhymes here. We have him saying that he hasn't seen a sucker this soft since Bunnicula. That was actually a children's book about a vampire rabbit. Saying that he hasn't seen Dracula's about as soft as a rabbit. It was quite soft. Then he goes in saying, get beat by Count Dracula, you're smoking Cracula. Saying that he would have to be get beat by Dracula, you'd have to be high to believe that. Then he's saying, saying that he'll dunk on his wackula, raps like he's Shacula. Saying, that they're wackula. Basically twisting it to rhyme. Saying that they're whack, basically meaning that they're not good. And then saying he's gonna dunk on his wackula, raps like he's Shacula. Referring to Shaq, or Shaquille O'Neal, who's considered one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Famous for his large size and his amazing ability to dunk. Then he's saying that he's Vlad to the bone, which is referencing the song "Bad to the Bone," very good song. Then saying he's Vlad the Hat Nailer. This is actually referencing a story of how these two people from an Ottoman envoy were actually sent to negotiate with Vlad. However, they refused to take off their turbans as it was religious. Now, Vlad is a devout Christian, so he decided that if they weren't going to take off their turbans, they would never take them off. So he had these guys nail their turbans to their heads, which ultimately started a big problem with the Ottomans. But ultimately, that was a pretty interesting story. Then he said said Vlad that commits heinous acts on rats, ask the jailer. Now, this is actually due to another story. One time when Vlad was imprisoned by the Ottomans, he was actually seen by the jail guards impaling rats on small sticks in his cell. And then he eventually got out. But this guy's terrifying. He's actually one of my favorite generals of all time, but... well... Okay, saying he leached his name. Now, leech is a blood-sucking parasite, which works quite well for vampires. Yeah, but also, Dracula is named after, Vlad the Impaler, as his real name is Vlad Dracula. Well, it's Dracula, but I just like pronouncing it with the Wallachian accent of Dracula. Kind of like how a lot of people like pronouncing other things with the accents. But anyways. Yeah. What was I? Yeah. And then saying that his Wheaton gets beat by the sun at the beach. This is because vampires burn in the sunlight. Now the interesting thing here is, originally in the Bram Stoker novel, Dracula wasn't actually killed by sunlight. It was actually just a later adaptation cut that was in it. Actually, the first time a vampire was defeated by sunlight was actually from a movie called Nosferatu. It's actually a pretty good movie, but it's lesser known. Yeah, but ultimately... And then he says his slick hair and cape are all flappy razzle-dazzle, basically meaning they look cool, but they're really nothing in comparison to him. And then saying, but at the end of the day you're a bat, and that's only half a battle. Yeah, this is due to the fact that, well, Dracula isn't really a fighter. He's more elegant, I guess you could say, but he's not a fighter like Vlad is. And of course, this is also wordplay, because bat is actually half of the word battle. Because battle is spelled B-A-T-T-L-E, but bat is spelled B-A-T. That's half of the word battle. Actually quite interesting. Okay, with that in mind, let's see how Dracula is going to respond to what Vlad has been saying. Okay, this is pretty good so far. We have him starting off by insulting Vlad, claiming that he thought he was stupid. And then, saying, I didn't know you could read. That's great. Now let's see if you can bleed. And then hisses at him, like, lunging at him with his fangs out. It's actually probably referencing that one Dracula movie where Dracula can only communicate with hissing. And then he said that that you thought the sun could kill him, not true. Because Dracula himself was originally not able to be killed by sunlight. But, with that in mind... Now, saying he's the vampire so cold, they call him Nosferatu. Now you see, this is a reference, as I mentioned, to Nosferatu. Actually, the first vampire to be killed by sunlight, but he's saying that he's so cold that they call him Nosferatu. A chew is basically just him, mimicking a sneeze. Saying he's so cold that he, makes people sick. And being cold is, what a lot of people consider being, mean. Which is kind of what you're trying to be in a rap battle. So I guess that rhyme makes some sense. But I like the Nosferatu reference. It's a decent, it's not impossibly obscure to get the reference, but it's less well known than a lot of Dracula movies. But let's see what else he's got. his syllable delivery is devilishly intricate. This is probably just saying that his the way he talks is amazing. But then saying that he rocks the house once he's invited into it. Now, it's common knowledge that vampires can't enter your home without being invited in. Which, well, you know. Yeah, ultimately, once admitting that that's a bad thing, I mean, it's like in 8 Mile. Sometimes admitting your own problems is a good way of winning. Yeah, saying that he rocks the house, though, that's good. And then saying, now here's a tidbit that you can stick a stake up. Yeah, that's referencing how he impaled people. Yeah, stuck a stake by sticking a stake up them and hung, and then just put them in place. There's actually one point where he used an entire forest of impaled bodies to scare off the an Ottoman attack. It worked. Point is. And then, you're losing so bad you should join Team Jacob. I know it's a Twilight reference, but I don't watch Twilight, and I don't really watch Twilight. The books, I don't want to read them. The movies, I watched one of them, and it was terrible. I would rather be playing every LJN game, except for that one Spider-Man game that was good. I was saying something. But anyways, ultimately, who won? Vlad. No contest. His rhyming was better. He set himself up as a monster, basically. And it completely went after everything that he could with Dracula. Oh, also I forgot to mention that one line at the end, where he called in Renfield. He was the doctor that tried to cure Dracula, but at this point he's just kind of a slave. And then we have, then he say, call a doctor, not Seward, because he's the doctor who was trying to study Renfield for psychological reasons. And then he says, because Vlad the Impaler has just been skewered. This might be referencing how he had his head stuck on a stake. Yeah. But ultimately, when you put them all together, he's telling his servant to call a doctor, not Seward, because Vlad the Impaler has just been skewered. Pretty good. Vlad won, but Dracula didn't have too bad lines. But let's look at the next one. A lot of people say this one would be better for the Halloween special, but ultimately, I don't see why. Ultimately, they both would work for it, but this one is Joker versus Pennywise. A matchup that all people on my channel are probably familiar with. Let's check it out. Okay, we got Joker. Looks like, kinda like, more like, the original Joker from the Batman movie. But it looks like they're going with a comic book background for this one. Yeah. Okay, they are clearly going for the new version of it, for their costume. He has a set of balloons. He has a bunch of balloons, which works for Pennywise, as the red balloon is considered his thing. Ultimately, costumes, they're good. Personally, I prefer if they went with the Tim Curry version of Pennywise, but, the Bill Skarsgård version is more common, is more new, so people are going to be thinking of that one. Even though Tim Curry is awesome. So, costumes, they're good. Now let's see how they deal with this. It's actually a pretty good start. Joker did die in the original Batman movie. He knocked Batman off a roof and tried getting away on his helicopter, but Batman used his grappling hook to make a gargoyle, hold him down, and then he ended up falling off the helicopter off a building and ended up dying. Still having a smile on his face, though. But ultimately, his fame from that movie, did immortalize him. So technically, he is immortal. And then, of course, having a Phoenix play him, referencing Joaquin Phoenix, the second best Joker to portray him. And then saying he's the Harlequin of hate, the Clown Prince of crime. He is the Clown Prince of crime, of course. And then saying that Pennywise is a sewer troll that Stephen King wrote between his lines. Stephen King actually referenced Pennywise in quite a few of his books, such as The Tommyknockers. Where the main character referenced seeing clown eyes in a storm drain. But ultimately, you know.
It's like cocaine. I don't know how any kind of joke could ever go over that. Yeah, they all float, says a quote. But your feelings, they all sink. Going as far as Mr. King goes, I'm a shining man.
Okay, pretty good. A couple shots to Stephen King there. So, first off, saying it's like cocaine, you know what I said. That's because Stephen King admitted to being addicted to cocaine when writing multiple stories, including It. Which, if you've read the book, it kind of explains a lot. Yeah. And then saying, I don't know how any kind of joke could ever go over that head. Pennywise has a big head, so that's it. Then saying, they all float, says the quote, but your films, they all sink. That's because, well, the newer It movies are pretty bad, and ultimately, the famous quote, they all float down here, well, it works. And then Joker saying, oh, and as far as Mr. King goes, I'm a shining man, wink. That's referencing how Stephen King hated the Stanley Kubrick version of The Shining, which sucks, because it was a genuinely good movie, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've seen it, but Stanley Kubrick can't mess up. He's awesome. In fact, he was actually in one of the epic rap battles of history, Alfred Hitchcock versus Steven Spielberg, and he was the winner, in my opinion, at least. Okay, so we have him talking about how he's beaten every member of the Justice League at least once, including Batman. Heck, he's even beaten the most powerful person in the Justice League, the Flash. You thought I was gonna say Superman, didn't you? Well, he's not. It's the Flash. But either way. Ultimately, he's also talking about how Pennywise lost to a herd of nerds, the Losers Club. They even called themselves the Losers Club. Then saying how he'll get gobbled up in Gotham, so he should stick to a small town. Gotham's a big city, and Derry, well, it's a small city. Then saying, and then he finally mentions how Pennywise lives in the sewer, saying that he's renowned as the If It's Brown, Flush It Down clown. And I'm pretty sure I don't need to explain this joke, but either way. Let's see how Pennywise replies to this.
You want a rap? Why so serious? You're supposed to be the man who laughs, but those jokes are like your new move. Mostly really sad. You're a judge over my deadlights. You're about to fall from a new height, because you're really gonna lost every fight. One guy who wears underwear over his ties. Nightmares are ruthless. In battles like poker, the Joker is useless. When it's back in your car, tell the Arkham Asylum I'm crazy with bars.
Okay, so we hear him starting out, with spazzing out, and, then we hear him, actually get coherent raps. Yes, we hear him start off with Heath Ledger's version of the Joker, the best Joker's famous catchphrase, "Why so serious?" Here, with him saying, "Why so serious? You're supposed to be the man who laughs." That's important because The Man Who Laughs was actually a movie that inspired the Joker. Then we have him saying, those jokes were like your new movie, mostly really sad. the Joker movie was sad. The Joker movie was about a man who was, who was living in a society which ultimately broke him and drove him to insanity. Yeah, and which ultimately led to him being the greatest criminal in superhero history. The greatest supervillain of them all. Able to face the likes of Superman, the Flash, Batman, everyone, that has ever been in DC Comics. Heck, even went against the Scooby Gang. But anyways, let's get back, to this. Wait. Oh, wait. Not done yet. He also said, deadlights. The deadlights are Pennywise's true form. Basically, they're also part of a car, but they're also, John Doe. Doe is a type of deer, so, deer get paralyzed with fear, and, lights and get hit by cars. So that works. And then he says he's about to fall from a new height, because he's weak and he's lost every fight, to a knight who wears underwear over his tights. Basically talking about how he usually loses to Batman. Because, Batman, his suit, then he says, I haunt nightmares and I'm ruthless. This battle's like poker, the Joker is useless. This is due to the fact that in poker, the joke card of the Joker, which actually is one of the Joker's symbols, doesn't do much, if any. Then he says, when he's not in your cards, Joker uses cards a lot, so it works. Then he says, call me Arkham Asylum, I'm crazy with bars. This could be referencing the game Arkham Asylum, but it's most likely referencing, Arkham Asylum as a whole, because it's a mental institution, saying he's crazy with bars. Now let's see what happens after this. Now this is likely, now let's see, now where was that? Now what was the first line? Jack Nicholson played you just fine. He was, as I believe, the first Joker. Either that or he was the one from the Adam West TV show. Wait, no, that's Cesar Romero. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's the first one. He was a great Joker. But lately the casting's declined. Yes, the casting for Joker has declined over the years, except for a couple of cases like Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix, who were amazing. Then he says, yeah, but lately the casting's declined. Jared Leto came out trying to look like he was Tekashi 6ix9ine. Tekashi 6ix9ine is infamous for looking ridiculous, also for being a snitch, but, I honestly don't care about any of that rap stuff. Point is, then he says, oh, also, Jared Leto is by far the worst Joker ever. Even though I know a lot of people who say that he's the best Joker. And then there he has the line, so unless you've got a yummy younger brother, I think you better run. Well, Pennywise ate kids. And then he says, and then he finally says, because I've got 99 red balloons, and I dare you to take one. Red balloons are Pennywise's thing. He uses it to lure kids to the sewer, he uses it to announce his presence, he uses them for a lot of things. So, with that in mind, let's see how Joker retaliates. That first reference was actually from the book, where Pennywise went against a space turtle, essentially, and he lost. Oh, eventually though, that turtle did die by choking on the universe. Okay, so we have Joker, saying he spits acid. Some people say they spit fire, Joker spits acid, because that flower he has, it doesn't spit gray water like most trick flowers, it spits acid. Also, it releases Joker, but still. And then he says, be wet. I spit acid, be wowed, every joke of mine stings. Your 3 nightlights in a cloud, be by the kid from Stranger Things. 3 nightlights in a cloud, that's essentially what the deadlights look like. In Stranger Things, well, he's talking about the actors from It Chapter 1, the remake. Then he says, when I compare your antics to the fiendish schemes I revel in, Pennywise, eating children is nothing compared to the Joker. Joker's killed a lot of people. Heck. Yeah, he once turned, ended up turning Superman evil. Yeah, and then, caused an alternate timeline which destroyed so much. A lot of people died. Joker's kill count is far more than Pennywise's. Even if he is an intergalactical being. Point is, with that in mind, he finishes it off by saying, I compare your schemes to the fiendish schemes I revel in. They pale like the moonlight. You can dance with the devil in. That's Joker's iconic line. He said it to Batman as a kid. He said it to Batman as an adult. It's one of the Joker's most iconic lines to date. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? Ultimately, it's a great line. And I think it works pretty well here. Okay, we hear Pennywise take a low blow at Heath Ledger. Then call him Puddin' like Harley Quinn does in Suicide Squad. Say he's an embarrassment. He'll beat him like he beats Harley Quinn, because he's very abusive to Harley Quinn. Then say, that purple suit, we're probably referring to Heath Ledger's infamous purple suit. Great suit. Yeah, saying that it's only something that you should see Steve Harvey, who wears purple suits. If I remember, he's the cast of the judge of Family Feud. Anyways. And we see him doing that dance from It Chapter 1, from the remake. Okay, so we hear Pennywise saying that he's the dairyman attraction every 27 years. Yeah, which makes sense, as he is. Does hibernate for 27 years. Oh, we also hear him say he'll feast on his fear, and he says that fear salts the meat when he eats people. And then he says he has a secret. It's like a very special toy. He's acting like he's talking to a child. A scared child. Which is something that he does because he eats children. Scared children. Yeah, then saying, if you want to kill a Batman, eat him when he's a boy. Basically saying that, Joker could kill Batman if he just killed him as a kid. Technically, he could, because he was the one who killed Batman's parents in front of him. He could have killed Batman. But, no, he didn't. And it didn't come... And he doesn't want to kill Batman, though. As he revealed in The Dark Knight, he doesn't want to kill Batman, because Batman completes it. So, let's see how, Joker's response. Okay. We have him, threaten to knock out all of Pennywise's teeth, even if it takes a whole week. If he even tries to hurt Batman. Which makes sense, he doesn't want it to be one. He doesn't want anyone to beat Batman but himself. He once even released Batman when Harley Quinn caught him. Because he wanted to be the one to beat him. Yeah, and then we have a reference to the original books. You guys will get it if you read the books.
But I wouldn't stoop to that kind of impropriety. This is Earth, you space demon. We live in a society.
Reference to the Joker movie. And probably, you know, all of the memes.
I've seen your movies, so I know you don't hurry. But I'll shoot you down the drain so fast they'll call you Tim Scurry. That's not if I drop bars, I take smiles, and I leave scars. Hard will admit that the Joker just killed it.
Okay, we got some pretty good references in the end of that. Saying he's seen his movie, so we know he doesn't hurry. Pennywise didn't really hurry in the movies to kill the kids. He wanted to build up fear, which ultimately led to his downfall. But Joker's gonna shoot him down the drain so fast, because in the remake, he attacked from the inside of the sink drain, that they'll call him Tim Scurry. Scurry means to run along quickly, specifically with insects. Tim Scurry is a play on the name of Tim Curry, the original and best It. Well, Pennywise. Then he says, ask Robin if I drop bars. He beat Robin to death with a crowbar. Well, actually, he beat him severely badly and then blew him up. Either way, he killed Robin. Either with a crowbar or with explosives. Then he says, I take smiles and I leave scars. His Joker venom causes people to laugh themselves to death while their face contorts into a terrifying smile. And then, of course, leaving scars. Obviously referencing, the Dark Knight, where he would say, wonder how I got these scars? He also told a cool story. And then he gave that one guy some scars of his own. Well, he killed him, but still. Then he says, guards in Arkham will admit that the Joker just killed it. Pennywise, it, Now let's see how Pennywise ends this. Yeah. Cesar Romero was, if I remember correctly, was the Adam West Batman version of the Joker. He was actually the Joker. You see, Cesar Romero didn't shave, so they had to try putting the makeup over his mustache. You could see the mustache underneath the makeup, though. Well, he did get beat by the Scooby Gang. Okay, he said he's the poster boy for missing persons posters, because he did cause a lot of missing person posters when he was killing kids. Ultimately, that's a pretty, good line there. Yeah, he talked about I think he made a reference to the Insane Clown Posse. It's a band, I think it is. But I didn't get most of that ending. Maybe because I don't listen to rap often, except for Eminem, but anyways. Ultimately, who won? Joker, hands down. But ultimately, Pennywise did put up a fight. Now, with that in mind, before we finish up with the last battle, I wanted to, do a quick session, talking about some of the bad parts about this. What were some of the bad parts about this? Well, they were pretty rude, bad about Bill Cosby in their rap battle. I mean, hey, they had 3 different battles with Hitler in it, one with Stalin, but they didn't do anything do anything bad to them, with the exception of Hitler. Because of their things. Ultimately, I don't think they did good with Bill Cosby. Oh, and then Vlad the Impaler versus Count Dracula. I'm still kind of mad that they didn't have a Castlevania line in there. Even if they did have that Castlevania thing in the credits. And, ultimately I think that's it. The only problem I have with the only problems I have with it. So without further ado, let's finish off this by reviewing Thanos versus J. Robert Oppenheimer, father of the atomic bomb versus who is considered Marvel's greatest villain. 1 second, bad. Actually, you know what? I'm going to lower the lights for this to seem more epic. Now, as you can see, the costume looks quite like J. Robert Oppenheimer. Heck, you can't tell because of the camera quality, but yeah, they even have a pretty good shot, of his eyes looking actually demented. Like a person who's actually done bad things in their life that they regret. Like Oppenheimer. Sorry, I couldn't record in the darkness, it was giving me some trouble. But ultimately, Oppenheimer, you can't really see, but there's a mushroom cloud in the background. I guess they're using shots of the atomic bomb going off. Okay, we have Thanos coming in. He says he's inevitable, which is a line that he actually had. But then he puts in they put in a bunch of extra words, but kind of expected. Yeah, he says he crushes tracks like he crushed the Tesseract in his hand. While Oppenheimer is a pencil-pushing Terran who never learned to love his bomb. Pencil pushing is a term meaning that it's mostly just desk work. Paperwork, that kind of stuff. Terran is a sci-fi term meaning a person from Earth. Never learned to love his bomb. He didn't like what he did with the atomic bomb. He thought that he was a monster. Yeah. He regretted it for the rest of his life, which explains the, Thanos saying that he's dropping bars on him, harder than his weighty guilty conscience. I can't use words right. Okay, let's see what else Thanos has to say.
You started off a chemist, and on your world you were a prodigy. Well, that makes sense, because your rhymes are rolling hot. Periodically, man, I heard the Avengers down to embers. Said half the planet to be slaughtered, and now I'm Oppenheimer like I did. So my daughter got a physical, and I'm proud that 6 infinity jumps when I'm packing. Stick your tiny nuclear dick back into your pants, Dr. Manhattan.
Okay, so, since you started off a chemist and on your world you were a prodigy, he was a genius when it came to chemistry. If anything, I'd say he deserves the Nobel Prize in chemistry, and technically peace, because if it wasn't for him, we definitely wouldn't have had an end for World War II. Yeah, well, in our favor at least. Actually, we probably would have won anyway, but, either way. Yeah, but that makes sense, because your arms are only hot periodically. Periodically means, from every now and again. But it also is referencing the periodic table of elements, which is very important in chemistry. Then he says, man, I burned the Avengers down to embers, sent half your planet to be slaughtered. When he did the snap, he wiped half of the universe out in an instant. Well, not really an instant, but, Yeah, and he killed a lot of people, especially a lot of the heroes. Then he says, now I'm off in Oppenheimer like I did to my daughter. He killed his daughter in Infinity War by throwing her off of a mountain. Well, not really a mountain, but he did it so they could get the Soul Stone. Soul for soul.
Run smashing all your items. Let's not collide with me when I'm rhyming. Cause you break and bleed so easy. I think I'll call you off and hide. It's impossible to talk me off you. You just don't have the stone. Apparently the only thing you're good at wrecking is a home.
Okay. So we have him, saying, Hadron smashing all your ion. Rhymes. Let's not collide with me when I'm rhyming. Because you break and bleed so easily. Now let's break these rhymes down. Now, Now we have him say. Now let's see. Hadron smashing all your atoms. Talking about a hadron smasher. Whatever. Best not collide with me. A hadron smasher works by colliding atoms together. Ultimate, very fast. Then break and bleed so easily. I mean, he's a human. To Thanos, he's essentially what, trying to work out an example, but basically, he could flick a person and their head would explode, essentially. And say, impossible to top me off, you just don't have the stones. Ultimately, he's probably just referencing the Infinity Stones here, but also there's another thing that I won't go into. Apparently the only thing you're good at wrecking is a home.
You slept with your friend's wife, right there in your friend's bed, and they got another married girl pregnant. You should have gone to the head.
Explain itself.
After your reps, I am become deaf. You need an Iron Man for that wrinkly ass skin and that butt. Here we go now.
Okay. He comes in saying, listening to you took everything I have left. Probably referencing the Scarlet Witch, saying that, Thanos took everything from her. Then have him say, after your raps, I am become death. This is probably saying that his raps are so bad that it, made him go deaf. But it's also referencing what he said after making the atom bomb. Saying that referencing a Hindu scribe, I believe it was. Yes, saying that he had become death. He am become death. The father of disaster. I'm not entirely sure what it is. I'm not entirely sure what it said, but it was something along those lines. I am become death. Death, though, was one of the things I'm pretty sure was there. And then, but chin line. Well, Thanos basically has a lot of butt chins together. Okay, we have. Now, he's saying, where's your rhythm? I thought you had the time stone. Rhythm and time are one and the same. And having the time stone, he would be able to control time, therefore, it should work. He should have good rhythm, but he doesn't. Then saying his punchlines sound like they came from Rhyme Zone, which is a pretty good insult for a rapper, but you see, Rhyme Zone was this thing where you would put words in and to find words that rhyme. Basically saying that it sounds, there isn't much effort put into the words. And saying, you might be something in the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, because he's considered one of the greatest villains, even though I've heard Loki. Either way, he then says, but between us, who's the worst MC? As I mentioned earlier, MC is Master of Ceremonies, but I used to talk about rappers. Then he says, you, MCU, who's the worst MCU? Ultimate. Then he says, your dialogue's got too many breaks in the syllable. You talk so slow, Drax thinks you're invisible. Now, in one of the Marvel movies, either Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 or Infinity War, Drax says that he's mastered the ability of moving so slowly he appears invisible. Now, this means that he talks so slow, even Drax thinks he's invisible. He causes chain reaction when he's lyrical, because he's got that fissile material, which is, I'm not going to go into the chemistry, but it's coherent with chemical reactions.
The chemical
1 second. Yeah, sorry about that.
Just met you like 2 and 3 from 5. I'm a peaceful man, but I do what I'm not. You had an evil plan, Thanos, and it left you with a dust. You must leave.
Now I'm going to skip back a second to make sure that you're hearing these correctly. Okay, so the lines for Oppenheimer so far, they're great. We have him start off, but we have him say, "Yeah, you were born to Eternals, but came out looking so scary that your own mother tried to make you a temporary." His mother tried to kill him when he was born. Just left him somewhat disfigured, I believe it was. But basically meaning he was eternal, but his mom tried to make him temporary, meaning kill him. Then we have him saying, then we have him saying, "Meanwhile, I've mastered the atom more than a man alive," because he's a chemistry genius that to this day has yet to have been entirely, matched by anyone. I believe so. Then we have him saying, "But now I'm here to split you like 2 and 3 from 5. That's talking about how the atomic bomb split an atom of uranium-235. Ultimately, that's a pretty good line. Then we have him saying, "Now I'm a peaceful man, but I do what I must. You had an evil plan, Thanos, and it left you in the dust." First off, we have it referencing how, he said that, he was a peaceful man, but if he had to, he would do monstrous things. And then Thanos, well, he planned to kill an entire universe and recreate a new one in his own image. Yeah, that's pretty evil. And then saying, "And it left you in the dust." For all of you who haven't seen Endgame, cover your ears. Iron Man snapped, and Thanos got turned to dust along with his entire army. Then, of course, it must leave you in rage when you compare our talents, because in this battle, there is no balance. Basically, kind of like that one thing from Guy Fawkes vs. Che Guevara. Thanos wants the entire universe to be balanced. But, of course, as we are all aware, he's saying that he's far superior, while Thanos is far behind. Now, let's see how Thanos, comes back with this.
There is no time for a communist pariah. You come off as awfully cocky, but I'll make you bend the knee and round two like Nagasaki on the box office topper. The Marvel showstopper got my name on this beat like it's the Thanos copter. You just got no answer, or Fortnite's dopest dancer. I will low-key choke you out like my name was throat cancer.
Okay. So Thanos comes back with a few good lines. Let's do this. "For a communist pariah, you come off as awfully cocky." Oppenheimer was supported communist ideas, but he was not really thought of as a communist. But I'll make you bend the knee in round 2 like Nagasaki. When America dropped the second atomic bomb on Nagasaki, we made Japan surrender. That reference there isn't exactly hard to understand, but it is. You see, bend the knee is surrender. In round 2, like Nagasaki, this is the second round of rapping. Nagasaki was the second time we dropped a bomb on Japan. Yeah, that's pretty simple. Oh, and it was an atomic bomb, so that's a reference to what Oppenheimer did. Then he says he's the box office topper. Endgame is actually beat out Avatar for the most profitable movie ever, I think. Then he says he's the Marvel showstopper. Thanos is considered the greatest villain in all of Marvel history, which is considerable, considering that my favorite is obviously Loki. But, you know, I'm not a fan of Thanos, but... And then he says he's got this name on this win, like it's the Thanos Copter. Which was a thing that appeared in 2 issues of the comics, I think it was 2. Yeah, which was just a helicopter with his name on it. Then he says, you just got no answer for Fortnite's dopest dancer. There was a update thing for Fortnite where ultimately Thanos did a bunch of Fortnite dances and became a serious meme. And then he says he will Loki choke him out like his name was throat cancer. Loki was choked out by Thanos and killed. Yeah, like this. With Loki's last words being, "You will never be a god." So he said he will Loki. Yeah, but he also means it like low-key, which is sort of as a hint, which is another slang word which I can't really explain. He will Loki choke him out like his name was throat cancer. Yeah, Oppenheimer died of throat cancer. Ultimately, it's a pretty simple, reference. But they also threw in the reference to what Thanos did to Loki. But let's see how Oppenheimer finishes this battle off.
You want to talk about death? How about the one that looked at you with sweat left? I'm the destroyer of worlds. You got your nuts handed to you by a squirrel girl. We're in the end game now, Tinky Winky. A physicist like Ant-Man. All up in your stinky. Anyone who believes that Thanos did nothing wrong crap has obviously never heard you rap. Oh, snap.
Now, let's break this final one down. This is the last breakdown in the video, so this'll be fun. We have him, say, you want to talk about death, how about the one that looked at you and swiped left? In the comics, Thanos was in love with death. Now, when I say death, I mean actual death. But of course, he was actually shown up by Deadpool, but the point is, Death actually preferred Deadpool. So, swipe left is a reference to saying that no to Thanos. Now, with that in mind, he also has that next line, which was referencing his defeat at the hands of Squirrel Girl, which we never saw, and somehow Squirrel Girl beat Thanos. I am very still, it happened. Then we have him say, "We're in the end game now, Tinky Winky." That's referencing probably Doctor Strange's line from Infinity War, "We're in the end game now," but also referencing the movie Endgame. And then calling him Tinky Winky, one of the Teletubbies. Teletubbies are creepy, and Thanos has the same it looks kind of like one of them if you think about it. It is a pretty good insult. And saying, "I'll finish you like Ant-Man all up in your stinky," basically referring to that theory that was going around Reddit, that the Ant-Man would go inside Thanos and expand to kill him. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Either way, it ended with a pretty good, send-off. Anyone who believes that Thanos did nothing wrong crap has obviously never heard you rap. Oh, snap. Thanos did nothing wrong is a thing where people are basically defending Thanos, saying that he's technically did nothing wrong since he had noble goals the entire time. Well, Jack the Ripper had noble goals, but no one's defending him except me. Okay, technically I'm not really defending him because I don't want to get demonetized, so I'm trying to, but the point is. And then he says, that anyone who believes that has obviously never heard you rap. Basically saying that, him rapping was something wrong that he did. And then he finishes off by saying, "Oh snap." Oh snap is considered a, sign of surprise, but it's also snapping. It's how Thanos killed half the universe and how Iron Man killed him in Endgame. And then he's engulfed in flames. Ultimately, who won this? Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer won. His rhyming was better, his references were better, he put a bunch of chemistry jokes into it. His rhyming was better, Thanos ultimately was okay, but, didn't really feel like Thanos either. Ultimately, this battle was great. Oppenheimer's costume looked awesome, the lines were awesome, you could see the pain in Peter's eyes. But then, of course, yeah, it wasn't exactly over with that. There are some problems with it, such as how the costume for Thanos wasn't actually that good. But then again, they don't have a major budget for stuff. But they did the best with their budget. They did have a good Infinity Gauntlet. However, I gotta say, Lloyd's portrayal of Thanos was even worse than Peter's portrayal of Batman. Ultimately, it was a great battle, but not a good end to the season. Ultimately, it's good. This might just be one of the best seasons yet. And, with that in mind, I'm done covering it, for this season. Heck, I may do another one next year, if my channel's still around then, even if YouTube's still around then. But until then, this is Randoman signing out. See you next decade, everyone.